Hello, and welcome to the Fabricator Live. We are coming to you live from the FABTECH trade show in Chicago. My name is Gareth Slager. I'm the digital editor for the Fabricator, for the Fabricator.com and social media and all of our digital efforts, newsletters. This is the first of several live sessions that we'll be doing throughout FABTECH week. You may have tuned into our previous live sessions that have been hosted by Dan Davis, our editor-in-chief. He is manning the comments, so if you have anything to ask us or have anything to say, feel free to leave a comment and we'll try to address it. Right now, we're being joined by two people that the readers of the magazines and the website may recognize. We're with Josh Welton, right to my right, and Nick Martin, far right. Fellas, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having me.
We thought it'd be really cool to kick off these live sessions here with these two guys. They've been blogging for us for several years now, I think since 2014.
Yeah.
Is that right? Both of you, I believe, right?
Yeah, we started about the same time.
Yeah. So, you know, both of these guys offer great insights to the metalworking industries. Nick helps operate a job shop in Wilson, North Carolina called Barnes Metalcrafters. And he gives us some great insights to day-and-day operations of their shop. And Josh here's a metal jack of all trades metal fabricator from the Detroit area. He operates Brown Dog Welding, and he's got your hands in a ton of other projects. So
always busy.
But you know, I'll let you guys give the viewers maybe a little bit of background of you, of what you guys do. So, Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I was a millwright at Chrysler for 7 years. That's where I kind of got into the trades. Since 2010, I worked for General Dynamics Land Systems, do prototype military vehicles. I get to drive tanks every now and then, so that's super cool. Been writing for the Fabricator for 7 or 8 years now. Write for the Welder magazine. I have Playing with Fire is the name of the column. I have my own business, Brown Dog Welding, and mostly what I've done in the past is it's kind of an outlet for my art. I like doing sculpture, but also recently I've gotten into trying my hand at different things, doing furniture, and then also teaching some classes, like basic welding classes, getting people into playing with welders that either haven't in the past or they want to kind of, you know, it's like baseball. Like you're the best hitter in the world. You still got a batting coach. Sometimes it's nice to have someone kind of look over your shoulder, see what's going on, and so kind of trying to
come into your shop and hone some skills.
Yep. I'll do we've done workshops too, but then the last couple have been more of that, and it's been a lot of fun doing that.
I've seen some of that stuff that you guys post on.
Yeah, that last lady that came through was 80.
Yeah.
And she was dropping dimes like it was nothing. It was crazy. She was awesome.
So we can talk about that a little bit more later, but yeah, I got more questions about that.
Absolutely.
And Nick, what about you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I went to college for business and got out of college as they promised, you'll find a job right off the bat, and couldn't find anything. I started working for my dad and started learning some stuff out in the shop, just a little bit of this and that, running machines, and then I got into 3D modeling, and I kind of learn things backwards from what normal people like Josh probably did, is starting with your hands in the shop and working your way up, where I started learning stuff on the computer and then I could relate it back to the shop. Yeah. And then I was able to, everything's CNC in our shop now, so my computer background really helped with that. And then I got into doing aftermarket auto parts and trying to grow that business, Mountains to Metal, and that's really taken off. And so I'm looking forward to doing some more stuff and picking Josh's brain about the new Bronco, and hopefully gonna make some stuff for that. So we'll see what happens there. And I'm glad to be here, hanging out with you guys.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's really great that you two are sitting down together. I mean, we were talking a little bit before this. When was the last time you two actually saw each other?
It had to be FABTECH. I don't know.
Atlanta.
It was in Atlanta.
Atlanta. It was Atlanta, right? Yeah. I don't know if it was 16, 17. I don't know. I don't remember. But it's been a while.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's
that's the greatest thing. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's the coolest thing about the show is you've got all these fabricators from around the country, like-minded people who kind of can gather and, you know, just you see each other online all the time. It's kind of nice to be able to pick somebody's brain or just talk to somebody face to face.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, you guys see each other's projects and their kind of workflows on Instagram or on Facebook, and now you got this is like the hub. You wrote a couple of years ago about how FABTECH is becoming an amazing place.
It's like the Super Bowl for fabricators.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
You guys can come and brainstorm and kind of just like,
or just even let off steam. Like as a whole, we're people who work 7 days a week, 12 to 20 hours a day. So it's kind of nice to have a week where it's like, it's work related, but you know, you can kind of enjoy other aspects of the you know, the industry.
Yeah, and like you said, FABTECH has done a great job recently of empowering some of these social media influencers, because, you know, they're really the face of the new generation.
It's clear they made a conscious effort to do that, because 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that was not the case, and there's been a very obvious push towards that, which is smart.
Sure. And, you know, so it's been a year off of FABTECH. What are some of the things that both of you are looking forward to seeing? I know you've probably walked around a little bit this morning, early afternoon. Well, Nick, you got in.
Yeah, I got in.
You woke up at like 3 a.m. to get here from North Carolina, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some of the things that you guys have seen or are looking forward to seeing? Nick?
New technology, man. I mean, we've been away from it for a few years now, and just seeing what everybody has to offer.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we get an advantage from, is coming to the show and seeing different tools and things that we might not necessarily need it right now.
Yeah.
But we may quote a job further down the road and say, oh, well, I remember seeing that at FABTECH.
Right.
Why don't we reach out to this company and get them to stop by, a salesman or somebody, and, you know, it might cut the time of making a part in half.
Sure.
If we can get this tool or machine or hand tool or anything, really.
Yeah.
So, but that and checking out some of the new laser technologies.
Yeah, there's a ton. We were just at the Bystronic booth earlier today, and they introduced, you know, quite a bit new technologies.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Josh, what about you?
I want to check out, and actually my wife's super interested in checking it out too, is laser welding, like these handheld laser welding machines. Pretty interested in that. I always like the salvage knee, the metal benders. They've always got some kind of cool project they're making right on the floor.
Yeah.
As a welder, it's kind of a bummer that some of the major welding companies didn't make it this year, but there's still stuff to check out over there in the fabrication area. So I like the stuff that I like. Earlier we ran into the coil, the aero coil, like the lubricant guy, and it's like something I've used my entire life. It's kind of cool to go up and see, you know, their official offerings, all the different styles of lubricants they have, and talk to the guy, the sales guy there for a little bit. Stuff like that is cool, you know, just making things like more personable, I guess. And you never know where that's going to lead. Like as a I don't want to use the term influencer, but as like a social media
someone
person,
on social media,
like
who
it's
does
nice
things.
making these relationships. Like I was always a Metabo guy. Like I like my Metabo grinders, and Vicky Bell was like, "Oh, hey, you want to meet the market?" This was 3 or 4 years ago at FABTECH. She's like, "You want to meet the marketing guy at Metabo?" And I'm like, "Yes." Yeah. And so like it started this great relationship, and it started literally here at McCormick at FABTECH because of that. So it's great, you know, having these brands that you either want to learn more about or you want to maybe make some connections with. This is the place to do it.
Sure. Speaking of Vicky Bell, shout out to her if you're watching, Vicky.
Hey, Vicky.
I believe she was the one that introduced both of you to writing for the Fabricator.com. And you guys have done an amazing job. And again, if anybody's watching, if they have comments, we got Dan Davis manning the comment section. Dan, do we have any questions yet?
Who's Josh representing on his hat?
Oh yeah. What do you? Is that?
It's my Carhartt Detroit Tigers hat. I have 3 of these.
That's great.
I have one that I use while I'm working, and it's just completely faded and covered with like nitro from when I watched the drag races and ash from welding. And then I have one that's in a bag, and then I have this one. Like I'm so hard on things that if I like something, I buy like in triplicate.
That's very Detroit.
Oh,
having
totally.
Like a manufacturing Tigers.
And Carhartt did this thing where it was with New Era, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be limited edition," and then after it sold out, they ended up just making tons of them. So,
well, get off topic a little bit.
Gotta represent Detroit.
You know, the Tigers haven't been doing that great, but it's been great to see Miggy go after that 500.
Miggy got 500. He's been on a tear. He had 9 straight at bats with a hit last week, which was something else. And they're
So
an
he's
exciting.
picking up to 3,000.
Oh yeah, it was kind of like people figured it would happen next year, but he's making a push where there's an outside chance he could get it this year.
Yeah.
But it's a young team. They got some guys in the minor leagues that are just hitting the snot out of the ball. Sorry, I'm getting into minor league baseball now. So
It's all right.
well,
It's basically the
topic.
Cubs now. So yeah, I guess we'll stop talking about baseball for now. Maybe Dan will talk about LSU football later today.
We'll bring everyone there.
Yeah. But we were talking about a little bit seeing some of the technology on the floor, which kind of gets to the mindset of some of these technologies kind of changing the way shops operate and the way the industry operates. What are some of your thoughts on the way the industry is trending towards a little bit more technology and automation and robotics?
I mean, it's been like that for a while. I think it's kind of an inevitable thing. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about it because I'm kind of old school and I like doing things with my hands, and I still like using hand tools when I work on my vehicles, and not the smartest way to go about things. It's not very efficient. So I have mixed emotions. I always joke about the whole John Henry thing. Like, yeah, I'll weld up against a robot. Let's go.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's inevitable. It's
You couldn't hang.
Yeah.
No.
And
Nick,
the robots
what about
are-
you? I mean, you're helping operate and manage a job shop.
Yeah.
And you wrote a blog for us last year, I believe, that kind of praised the robotic welder
Yeah.
and how much that's kind of changed some of your operations, especially through the pandemic when some of the supply chains have shifted. And
I mean, if you get it dialed in, man, it's there. I mean, you literally could put someone in front of it that doesn't know that much about hardly anything, and just like push a button, load it, check it. If you have any issues, come contact me, and I'll help you solve the problem. And then as I'm adjusting things, I'll teach them as I go. But robots are the future. I mean, But like Josh said, it is hard to compete with them. They're never hungover. They're always there.
Sure.
they don't have a drinking problem.
So, but when we do use our robotic welder, it really puts out some parts. And,
Sure.
But as far as technology goes, I think everybody's like simplifying stuff, so less experienced operators can operate a $500,000 to $1 million piece of equipment with a few days of training, if that.
Yeah.
And there's so many fail safes. They're like, why won't it do this? Why can't I press the go button? Because you don't have this, and it'll literally tell you step by step what
It's
you're doing
idiot-proof.
wrong. It's like, it's almost scary because you think you're gonna mess it up, but it won't let you.
Yeah.
In most cases, you can still screw it up. Trust me.
Well, I think we might have a question.
Yeah, we got a question. People want to know what's the mountain of metal.
We started out as basically a bumper grill insert. Like a lot of the full-size trucks now have a big hole in the bumper, and a lot of people were complaining about debris and flying through and damaging the intercooler. I have pictures of birds and metal chunks, turkeys stuck in our product.
You're talking about like grill inserts.
Yeah, like for the middle of the bumper. That's how we started that, and it's kind of growing, and we're looking at getting into some other aftermarket auto accessories. So,
How long ago did you start?
I started it in 2013, and the business
Just kind of like a side project.
and it turned into like, my dad was almost mad at people. Why are they buying this? And it's like, no, I think we got something here, and we just kept making parts. And
What are some of the other parts you want to make?
bumpers, racks, brackets, stuff to customize interior components. A little bit of everything, man. We have like all the skills and the machines at our shop to do this. So I don't want to let it just sit there. So,
Sure.
And I've always been interested in trucks and off-roading and stuff like that.
Yeah, both of you guys have
I know
kind
we
of
were
dabbled in that.
Comparing stories earlier, and so hopefully we'll talk some more after this.
Yeah,
For sure.
And if anyone tuning in hasn't seen, check out our YouTube page on. You have to go to the FMA YouTube page, and then we have a channel for the Fabricator. And Josh has done quite a few videos reviewing some trucks that kind of fit the manufacturer's work laborer's lifestyle.
I think there's not enough car reviews written for like regular guys that or guys, I say guys, it's a generic term, right? Just people in general
Yeah.
who they work with their hands, they love the outdoors, they're not looking to see which model of the Camry gets the best gas mileage or which car handles. There's just a certain visceral appeal that certain vehicles have, and I'm hoping I'm tapping into that. We seem to be getting some good feedback on it. So I like cars, and so it kind of like fits both my passions, and so I hope I can do that more in the future.
Yeah, one that really stood out was when you used the power source off the which truck was it again?
The Ford F-150.
Yeah, and you did some welding projects.
It has
talk a little bit more about that.
It's a power boost, so it's a hybrid truck, but they have it set up so you can actually use the hybrid system as a generator. It has I think 7.2 kilowatt generator. So I ran my entire shop off of it.
Yeah.
I just did a video of me welding. I did pulse welding. I did MIG, regular short arc, TIG, stick. Ran grinders off it. Charged my batteries off of it, and pretty neat. I think it's something that not just from Ford, but as these companies, Ford kind of jumped into it first. You're going to see these companies build. It's going to change, job, work site. You don't have to have a big generator to go do certain things.
Yeah.
If you're doing iron work, it's one thing, but if you're a sheet metal guy, like that's a way, enough power to do what you got to do.
Sure. How are we doing on time?
It's almost lunch.
It's
About 18 minutes in.
18 minutes in, all right. I know we wanted to talk a little bit. I mean, this is a pretty wide open topic, but we want to talk a little bit about the trending workforce. Some call it skills gap, some call it a pay gap. I wanted to get Josh's take on, you've written extensively about this over the past few years. Give me some of your top bullet points about that topic.
One of the issues I have is that it's not about where we actually, there's two parts. There's the one where we actually are as a labor force. Wages have been stagnant since 1979. People are complaining right now about the minimum wage going up, but it stayed at a certain level for 25, 30 years, and it hasn't gone up with inflation. So now, yes, people saying, well, if you pay these people more, the stuff's going to cost more. The stuff's costing more anyways. It's all costing more anyways. It's just that there's a certain class of people that are getting left behind, and we value. There's a problem with all these, whether it's a school or it's a third party, some type of nonprofit that gets set up to promote the trades. Usually you trace back the money, and it's going from people who will benefit from us making less money.
Yeah.
So they want to make the trades look more attractive up front. So they say, hey, you come out of school, you might make $60,000 a year, and then people take that as fact. And there are certain organizations in our industry that are promoting these numbers that are just BS. Chances are you're not coming out of school making $60,000 a year. They'll put that as that's the average median for a welding wage, when it's actually like 40,000 is the actual median. So the problem with that is you entice this younger generation to get into the trades, then they get out of school and they're like, where are all these $100,000 jobs? Well, they never exist. They exist, but in a small pocket.
Sure.
So the one part is being honest with people coming up into what they're getting into. The other part is changing what they're getting into. Rather than putting all this money into lobbying for lower wages, you'll see somebody like, oh, we'll pay an upfront bonus, or we'll pay you $1 more an hour here. It's like none of that is significant enough to really change somebody's life, and I don't know. And I know, I'm interested to see what you have to say, because you have a small shop that you're trying to balance the other side of that.
Yeah, ask Nick. You've written a little bit recently about the worker turnover and having to get guys in that are skilled enough to operate. You guys do a lot of different jobs.
A lot.
So touch on that a little bit. What are you seeing are you guys seeing anything from trade schools that are preparing kids well enough?
Yes and no. And honestly, it seems like the younger generation will chase a quarter or 50 cents. If you're going to pay them that much more, they'll go there, and they don't see things like your shop might be air conditioned, or you might be able to show up a few minutes late to work and we're not going to penalize you. Just say, hey, come earlier next time. or just little things like that that the younger generation doesn't see. At least I've noticed in our shop.
Yeah.
But we've had some people leave for benefit reasons, and we do provide benefits, but it's hard when you're a small shop and you don't have 100, 200 people.
Yeah.
But then again, when you bring in a worker that's supposed to have a skill, they can't hide. It's going to show very fast. If you don't have the skills to stay in our shop, you're going to, as we call it, get voted off the island
Sure.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But I think if you, on the other side of that, is having a good attitude. We have a couple new laser operators right now, and man, those guys have the best attitudes, and they're listening. And if I ask them to do something, they say, okay. And then there's no kickback. And before, some of the other guys would go, why? Why do you want me to do that? I'm like, well, because this is the way it needs to be done.
It's about being flexible.
It's not in, but you know, there's lots of ways to look at it.
Yeah.
But money always helps, you know, everybody. But if you got a guy coming in with no experience, how are you going to pay him the same as a guy that's been working for you for 10 years?
Yeah.
And that's...
You might be getting competitive wages from something outside of the industry.
Exactly. And that guy that's making the, that's been working there 10 years is the one holding his hand, training him on a daily basis, and he's the first person he goes and finds if he needs help.
Sure.
So,
Problem is now those, like I've run into so many of those 10 to 15 year guys who have reached the peak of what they're going to make, and they're like, this isn't enough. And like they're becoming chefs, or they're going to work for Amazon, you know, and it's something that there's no easy transition to a economy where we pay better wages to the blue collar workforce. I don't know what the solution is. I look at, like, when I was coming up, $100,000 was like, that's 20 years ago, that's a benchmark. We're still using that exact same benchmark.
Sure.
And $100,000 now is not even close to what it was 20 years ago.
Right. I mean, I'm fairly new to the industry, only introduced maybe a few years ago, but I'm hearing that from a lot of people where the skills gap conversation isn't anything new. It's always been something slightly different, but it's always been there.
Since I worked in a factory, when I started in factories when I was 18, and it was the same thing. It's everyone age 55 and older, they're getting older, they're retiring. You're going to make this much money, you're going to have job security. It's just the same talking points recycled over and over and over again. And it's becoming less true now because people are working longer because life costs more, so they're not retiring.
Yeah.
The biggest growing demographic in the workforce is age 65 and up. Like, the people just aren't retiring. And then you have
it's the 80-year-old woman that came into your shop.
Yeah. And she did retire. She was awesome. She was an engineer at Chrysler. She retired. She used the company to pay for her schooling. She went to art school, and then she retired. And so she's been retired for 20 years and has done other kinds of welding and gone through different welding schools, but wanted to get the TIG game down. And yeah, she's just a force of nature. She's awesome.
I think, Dan, you said we have a question?
Actually, Vicky Bell did join.
Oh, Vicky. That's awesome.
And she actually had a question for Nick regarding how's the shop doing with cost of materials. How are y'all handling that?
You stole the question from me, Vicky.
Yeah, well, the cost of
Stealing
material
thunder.
right now is it's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, sometimes I feel bad even telling a customer, like, look, this is your new price, and they're like, seriously? I'm like, that's what it is, you know? There's nothing we can do about it. You know? And it's hard to tell someone, look, you used to pay this much and now it's 4 times more for the same part, you know, that you got a year ago for,
Well, I was talking to your dad before this, and he said a lot of shops are hoarding material.
They are.
It's almost like a commodity now.
Yeah, they're like the steel guy told me, and he said that there was guys trying to order truckloads of steel. They're like, why do you want that when you've never ordered truckloads before?
Yeah.
So we can't really do that because you're just going to keep it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Josh, what about you? Are you seeing anything from your side of things?
From my personal business, I don't deal in quantities large enough to, and I'm usually using leftover drops and things like that. For the day job, we've run into material shortages, not being able to get certain materials, having to, skin a cat in a different way, getting materials from places that I've never seen us get materials from, as far as, like, not even from the States.
Sure.
So I know we've been dealing with that. Personally, though, for me, it's not really something I think about too much. I'm interested. I had a question for you about when with material prices back when Trump first came in office and they changed the tariffs.
Yeah.
Did that affect? Was that even on the same level of what's happening now as far as effects on prices?
It wasn't as noticeable. Now it's like almost every couple of weeks it goes up like 10%.
Jeez.
And it's just crazy. But
Yeah,
it wasn't as noticeable then as it is now. And I don't know if it's slowly catching up or if this is just what it is.
Yeah. Every time we run our steel market update column on looking at steel prices and forecasting, they keep pushing back when they forecast maybe things might start to trend down a little bit. So it's almost like there's no end in sight. And does that have to do with until maybe these tariffs are addressed?
I don't know,
Or suppliers are like, hey, look at how much money we got for this.
Yeah.
Now we can make more money when the prices go down.
I mean, it's like stuff that you used to get in a day or two, they're like 6 weeks.
Yeah, the lead time is
outrageous. It's hard
outrageous.
to tell your customer because they're not used to that pushback.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're used to maybe a 2-3 week turnaround on a completed product, and now it's 6 weeks just getting raw material.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I mean, we could talk forever about that, right?
Yeah.
So
everybody here probably could.
Yeah, exactly. We could have a whole, line of people coming up and giving their side of things.
Conference-wide roundtable.
Yeah. It's like a Parks and Rec, show where you just have everybody show up and give their 2 cents.
We'll get to everyone.
So, how are we doing on time again?
We're about a half hour.
Half an hour?
So if you wanna,
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because we got...
we had one comment from Stephen Croft. He says, this is the first time in my life I've told our purchasing department to get creative when it came to getting steel.
Oh, get creative.
I've got air quotes. Get creative.
Yeah. So what Dan said is that it's just the first time he's told the purchasing department they have to get creative with how to obtain steel.
I imagine like a Fast and Furious style steel heist.
Yeah.
Is what's in my mind.
Yeah.
Get creative. Get out the wrecking trucks and torches and
Get those snippers and have them roll off the back of the truck.
Yep.
But don't do that.
Yeah,
Do not do that.
I'm not
We're not
suggesting
promoting
that. Wink, wink.
But we are going to promote our next Facebook Live event, which is coming up in probably an hour and a half.
Correct.
Dan Davis will be interviewing Scott Bearer, and they're going to talk about steel prices.
Shop owner.
Yeah.
With a background in the steel industry.
Yes. He wrote a column for us back in May.
Not happy.
Addressing the steel price situation. He had some hot takes that drew some interest on social media, so be sure to tune into that. We are at we're in Hall A, booth A3654, so if you're watching this somewhere on the trade floor, come by, visit us. We've got some tchotchkes. We've got this phone gripper, stick on the back of your phone.
Ooh.
Can you see that?
Ooh.
I'm not sure how much adhesive will be left on your phone when you try to take it off.
I think Darla took a dozen of the pens.
Oh, did she? Well, we do have pens. We've got this fancy pen. We're calling it a fancy pen.
Nice.
It's got a little bit more chrome to it.
Pretty fancy.
And we've got this, I guess we're going to call every man's pen. It's a little bit more plastic, a good rubber grip on it, and not too much chrome.
We've got choices with pens.
And everybody's favorite, we've got koozie.
Yeah.
Nice.
After hours. So feel free to stop by our booth. Again, I'd like to thank both of you for coming on.
No problem.
Where can we see you guys on social media? I know you guys are pretty active. Josh, why don't you go ahead?
On Instagram, I'm Welder Assassin and Brown Dog Welding. On Facebook, it's Brown Dog Welding, or find me, Josh Welton, on Facebook. And then on Twitter, it's at Brown Dog Welding. And I'm on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Josh.
What about you?
Instagram, Barnes Metal and Mountains to Metal, same as Facebook. Barnes Metalcrafters and Mountains to Metal, and then I'm also on LinkedIn. Hit me up, and Twitter as well. And we are at Barnes Metal.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I got to know Josh.
No TikTok yet? I know Josh said he did
Yeah.
one video.
Yeah, mine already got taken down for company or corporate community policies.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
working on
something.
TikTok. I got an account at least, but I don't have any videos. So.
A little bit maybe too old to do the TikToks right
Yeah,
now.
they say it's just for dancing, but they say you can do.
No, I mean I think on Wednesday we're going to be having Barbie the Welder with our welder editor Amanda Carlson. She's made interviewing her. I know she's had some success on TikTok, and there's a lot of other like Dabs Wellington and other guys. But anyway, I think we should wrap this up. Appreciate you viewing in. Make sure you tune in at 4 o'clock. Dan Davis will be interviewing Scott Brewer talking about steel prices. And stay tuned for the rest of the week. Thanks.